in the land of Egypt, where the Nile did flow. The Hebrews were slaves, in a place they called home. They cried out for help, their hearts filled with pain. And God heard their plea and sent Moses to reign. Moses stood before Pharaoh, with a message to tell. Let my people go, or plagues will befall. But Pharaoh's heart was hard, and he would not comply. So God sent 10 plagues, to open his eyes. First, the Nile turned to blood, a river of red. No water to drink, and all the fish were dead. The people were thirsty, their lips cracked and dry. But Pharaoh still refused, his mind would not comply. Next came the frogs, jumping everywhere. In their dwellings, their beds, and even in their hair. Pharaoh asked for relief, but as soon as they were gone, his heart hardened again, and he wouldn't move on. Lice, gnats, and flies, then came to plague. Swarming in the air, and on every surface, they'd raid. Pharaoh's heart remained stubborn, he wouldn't give in. And so the plagues continued, which was just the beginning. Then came the disease, that killed the Egyptians' livestock. Their animals all died, leaving them in awe and shock. But Pharaoh's heart remained, harder than a common rock. His stubbornness continued, even as the plagues did flock. Next came boils, painful, festering and severe. Afflicting both man and beast, it was a contagion to fear. But Pharaoh's heart remained tough, his mind was made up. He wouldn't let the Hebrews go, for they were his source of power and love. Hail and thunder then pummeled from the sky, destroying the crops, that the people relied. But Pharaoh still refused, his heart still hard as stone. He wouldn't let the Hebrews go, even though they'd flown. Locusts massed, devouring everything in plain sight, leaving nothing but emptiness, as they swarmed, taking flight. But Pharaoh's heart was hardened, his will wouldn't break. And so the plagues continued, with no clear end in sight. Then darkness descended, over all the land. For 3 days it lasted, it was hard to stand. But Pharaoh remained obstinate, his heart remained cold. He wouldn't let the Hebrews go, for they were his power and hold. Finally, the worst plague, that made Pharaoh's heart skip a beat. The firstborn of Egypt would lie lifeless at their feet. But the Hebrews were spared, for they had obeyed. And the angel of death passed over their homes as they had prayed. Pharaoh relented, and let them flee. But soon regretted it and tried to change his plea. His army pursued, but the Almighty intervened. Parting the Red Sea, their path was made trouble-free. The Hebrews were unbound, to worship their God. Their journey had started, they traveled quite far. But the memory of the plagues still vividly remained. A reminder of God's power that could not be restrained. The plagues of Egypt were a sign of God's wrath. A warning to all to follow his path. For those who rebelled and refused to obey, the plagues would come back for them one day.